What is happening? Everybody, we got Big Bicep
What's going on,
Jesse
guys?
in the house. We got hat wearing Ryan in the house. And we're ready to rock.
Hoodie mode Ryan
Hoodie
in the house.
mode Ryan in the house. And we going off today. We going off today. Grippito in the house. I see Maldonado in the house. We are fired up. It is Friday and we are back. We are back with another episode of Crucible TV. Another episode of our One Big Thing series where we're diving into a lot of the different books, right?
Leaders are readers.
Leaders are readers, but I know a lot of y'all aren't out there reading. Y'all aren't out there doing all your studying. Y'all aren't. You got too much time. We got too much TikTok to go through. We got too many Instagrams to go through, right? So you're not reading. We got too many other distractions. So you know what? We're gonna bring the Cliff Notes version to you. We're gonna bring you the one big thing that when we read these books, we're going to bring you the one big idea that we just love, that we love, and we think are going to make a difference in your life. So if you've read the books that we've are talking about, we want to make sure that you're letting us know. Say, hey, I've read that, or guess what? That sounds awesome. I'm going to read that. So there we go. Leaders are readers. Martin Rooney says it all the time. Amen. He does. He does say that. Martin's a good dude, a very good dude. So Grippito, I don't know if you've met him or not, but he's a super good dude, a lot of energy. And he got kind of a little side story. He was one of the guys that really allowed me to kind of take the next step in my fitness career and business career and just the way that I went about training and things like that. So yes, definitely a big shout out to the man, Martin Rooney. So today we're diving in. We're diving into one of my favorite books of all times. Very influential book. I've read it multiple times. I think it's an outstanding book, and it has influenced a lot of people. It's written by a guy by the name of Jocko Willink. Now, if you've read the book, you probably already know what book it's going to be. But a guy by the name of Jocko Willink, who was a Navy SEAL, right? A Navy SEAL. He spent about 20 years in the Navy. Best known for his time while he was commander of SEAL Team 3, Task Unit Bruiser, that went into Iraq in about 2006 with the Battle of Ramadi. Everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people know the name Chris Kyle, right? American Sniper, had movies written about him and was unfortunately killed. But yeah, he was in his team. He was on Chris Kyle's team, or he was the commander of Task Unit Bruiser, SEAL Team 3. So he spent about 20 years, like I said, in the Navy, got out, he became a Navy SEAL instructor, all of that good stuff. So that is who this book is written by. And the name of the book that we're going to talk about today is Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership. Let me know if you've read it. An amazing book. Amazing book. One of my favorite books of all time. He actually has another book that he came out with called... He's got another one called Discipline Equals Freedom, which we're going to actually be talking about here in a minute. But he's got a couple, he's got kid books. He's got like kid books, extreme ownership books. And it's this whole idea, right? What he decided to do after he got out of the Navy, he's created a business called Echelon Front that he works with one of his, Leif Babin, one of his guys that was on his SEAL team. And they go around and do business leadership. Everything they talk about is leadership. They want to create leaders at every level, not just in business, but in life. So they take the leadership principles, the lessons they learned on the battlefield in Ramadi. If you know anything about Ramadi, if you've ever done any of the studying about Ramadi, it was one of the nastiest, hardest places for battle. Hardest places for battle in that Iraqi war. So he's taken the leadership principles that he had during that time to allow them to be successful and do the things that they did to have the kind of success that they had, taking those lessons and saying, hey, how can we apply those things to life? How can we apply those things to business? So if you're considering yourself a leader, if you want to be a leader, highly recommend this book because it's this whole idea of extreme ownership. I'm going to own everything that is in my sphere of influence, right? If I am a leader, it's nobody else's fault but my own, right? Now, oh man, Jesse screwed something up. Well, I, as a leader, am going to say, you know what, Jesse? I didn't prepare you enough. I didn't prepare you enough for that moment, right? Jesse might have screwed it up, but I'm going to take ownership and say, you know what? I need to learn how to teach him better. I need to prepare him for battle better for whatever the decision that needs to be made. Teach them that whole idea.
Or maybe I need to put the leadership shoes on too and say, I could have asked for help, so I could have been more prepared before, you know? So yeah, it's both ways.
So that is the idea of this book. And so, Jesse, you've read the book.
Yes, sir.
What was your one big thing?
The biggest takeaway for me is because when I first read the book, I kind of felt this just big whisper and calling that I really, really wanted to get into coaching. It was one of my first semesters of senior year of college, and I didn't know what was next after I graduated, but I had this itch that I really wanted to coach. And, you know, I looked at a coach as being a leader, you know, and I always consider myself a leader. And this one chapter really stuck out to me. Is called "There's no such thing as bad teams, only bad leaders." And it's not like putting leaders down or anything like that. But if a team fails, it's the result of the leaders. It's the result of the leadership, whether it's from the coach, whether it's they taking an extreme ownership of the destination of where the team is going. And if you don't necessarily have to put that same intent of a leader on a team, you can put it in any aspect of your life. You can even put that same aspect as the player too, right? You own your role of leadership wherever you're at on the field. But to me, it really stuck out. Like if a kid doesn't get to where he needs to be, at the end of the day, it's maybe because I'm not having a conversation I need to have with that kid, and I take ownership there, or maybe it's something with the programming that we have to fix, you know, and looking at that view, and not necessarily in a view where, oh man, I'm failing, we didn't hit it this way, or we didn't get it there, or I'm letting my team down. It's that they're looking for me. It's saying, all right, this is feedback here, and right now this is where we got to get better, and this is where we got to grow. So that would be my biggest takeaway, because I like I said, when I first read this book, I was on fire about coaching, and I love the aspect of teams working together. In that first chapter right there, or it was their second chapter of the book, is there's no such thing as a bad team. There's bad leaders, and if it's like, oh man, I'm falling short with the leader, good, shine a light on it, and let's find that way to grow and get better, you know. So
well, that's exactly it, because this is a leadership book, right? This is a leadership book. So what kind of leader do we not want to work for? The one that starts pointing the finger, right? Like, oh, this happened, your fault. Oh, this happened, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? No, he's talking about on the battlefield, and he tells an amazing story. If you want to get a sense of this book before you read it, go on YouTube, search up TED Talk, Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership. Check that out. It's a little 10-minute video, and it's all about, really, it's Jocko's biggest blunder, biggest military blunder, which was his guys killing his own guys. There was fratricide there, where that is like the number one biggest no-no in military combat, right? Don't get your own guys killed. And they were in a spot where they were engaging in battle with each other. They thought they were fighting the enemy, but it was really each other. Talk about how do you approach your senior leaders, right? How do you approach your senior leaders? Say, I thought I was shooting the bad guy, but it was really our own team, right? And they ended up killing one of the guys that they were working alongside, right? And he tells the story, a very great story about being in that room and how he came to this realization of this extreme ownership, because he looked around and he could easily say, well, that guy's the guy that pulled the trigger, it's his fault. Or it was that commander's fault because he was the one that took him into that building and said to shoot there. And he came to the realization of, well, I'm on the outside, I'm the one that was supposed to prepare everybody, I was the one that was supposed to have the plan, I was the one that was supposed to do all these things. You know what? It's nobody else's fault but my fault. And the thing that was amazing to him, and he realized, was the people above him, the generals, didn't look at him and say, oh, you made a mistake, now you're out of here. It was, wow, he took ownership of that. He admitted his mistake. and he has a plan to execute to make this thing better. That's the kind of leaders that we want. We don't want the leaders that are just going to pass the buck and say, well, I'm the coach, he's the player. Like, well, he screwed it up. He was the one out there playing. No, we want to play for. We want to work for that leader that says, you know what, I own it. That's on me. I didn't do my job, right? So that's the whole idea behind this book. So extreme ownership, just kind of adding on to what Jesse said there. So that's an amazing one big thing that if you're a leader, if you're a business owner, if you're a whatever, where does the buck stop? The buck stops with you. The buck stops with you, and having this extreme ownership mindset will not only help your business, help your team, but it's going to help your team because your team is going to want to play for you. They're going to want to work for you because they're not afraid of failing anymore. They know my guy's got my back, my boss has my back, and he's going to help me grow with this, or she's going to help me grow with this. That's what we want. At the end of the day, if we are playing for somebody, we want to know they have our back. And the number one way to ruin that is to point the finger that back down the chain, right? So that's his big idea with extreme ownership. Anything to add on that?
No, man, you crushed that right there.
Fired up.
Yeah.
Fired up.
Yeah.
So my one big thing, it was the final chapter of the book, and he actually made another book purely on this, was this idea of discipline equals freedom. Discipline equals freedom. And I love this concept because it ties in with so many of these other quotes and things that we say, that we live by and things like that. But the idea, most people think discipline, oh man, discipline, that's gonna restrict me. That's going to keep me from being able to do the things that I want to do. When really it's the discipline of, because I am disciplined, because I'm making the tough choices, because I'm choosing the thing that I need to do, not just that I want to do, it now has given me the freedom to go out and do maybe more of the things that I want to do. Let's talk about discipline with my time, right? Discipline with my time. Well, instead, I've got all these things and dreams of things that I want to have happen. Well, if I'm not being disciplined with my time and I'm just scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or just watching the latest Netflix series, right? I'm not being disciplined with my time. I'm not then allowed, and I don't have the freedom to go do the things that I really want to do, right? But if I can be disciplined, I can then have the freedom to go out and do the things that I want to do. I want to eat this. I want to do that. I want to feel this way. I want to look this way. I want to be in shape. I must be disciplined. The discipline in the moment of eating, the discipline in the moment of the decision making equals, I will then have the freedom to go on the vacation, have the confidence, or to be able to move, or whatever it is that I'm really wanting. So this idea of discipline being a freeing thing rather than a restricting thing. And I tell you, as soon as I made that switch in my head of like, ooh, discipline's not a bad thing. Discipline is the greatest thing, because the most disciplined people allows you to do, or the most disciplined actions allow you to do some of the most amazing things, right? If you want to be the best free throw shooter of all time, you're going to have to be disciplined in your execution, right? If you want to run the greatest business, you're going to have to be disciplined. If you want to have the best family, you're going to have to be disciplined with your time, with what you decide to do, when you decide to do it, because, well, there's going to be a lot of distractions. And we live in a world where we have access to more information, technology, just stuff than ever before. Well, it's all going to clog up. It's all vying for my attention, right? The algorithms of Instagram and Facebook are vying for my attention. They want as much attention there. I'm going to have to be disciplined. I'm going to have to be disciplined to be able to have the freedom that I eventually want, right?
Can I ask you a question right
Yes,
there?
you can ask me a question.
Is there an example right now where you feel like you've been really disciplined in an area in your life and you feel like it's been paying off incredibly? Can I just share one thing about this guy right here? So one thing about my man Ryan is every morning he's talking about being disciplined with his faith. He wakes up and he leads a Bible study. And you talk about giving you the freedom to do things. I think making sure prioritizing what's most important and being disciplined with that practice right there is a great example of right there where it frees you to be the leader and mentor and touch the lives the way you do. And I know I'm blowing some smoke.
I like
at you
it.
and
Keep going.
praising
Keep
you.
going.
But
this is a 30-minute Instagram live now. Let's go.
But I think that's a great example. You know what I mean? I mean how disciplined you are with your faith and how of a freeing thing that is for you, man. And,
it is.
And that it's just it's an incredible leadership quality right there. So
well, I appreciate that. Boom. So there we go. Grappito giving the 100 remark. He knows all about that extreme ownership. So guys, there we have it. The next book is done. The one big thing is done. Extreme ownership. If you're not going to read it, that's fine. Go check out the YouTube. Go TED Talk. Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership. That'll just give you a taste. And even just that little bit, that mindset shift of, you know what? Instead of, we were talking about being a victim. Instead of being a victim to my circumstance, I'm going to go into this mindset that I own everything in my life, in my sphere of influence. I am going to own it, and I'm going to walk around and live like that, and I'm going to own the consequences. I'm going to own the results. I'm going to own the failure. I'm going to own the success. I'm going to own the process that's going to get me to where it is that I want to go. I am not going to be a victim to circumstance anymore. I'm going to own it. We're going to have a process. We're going to make it through it. So there we go.
Awesome.
The one big thing, own it. Own it. Extreme ownership. So guys, be sure. Next week, 1 o'clock, we're going to be bringing another book. You know, we're going to keep it going, but this series is winding down. We're excited about the next series that is going to be coming. We're still finalizing all the details of that, but guys, you know we're going to bring in some fire, bring in some energy, hopefully bring in some life change to you. So guys, we will be back next week, 1 o'clock, right here, Crucible TV. Guys, we love you. God bless y'all. We'll see you. See you, IG.
See you, Instagram.